Hopefully not drop any frames. We'll see. We're live. Hello, Internet.
Oh, it's
Oh.
an AMC
Hello.
ad.
Hello.
Oh god, it's the internet.
Go see movies, people.
Oh, there's
Yay.
epic finales?
Are there movies out right now?
Saul? I should call Saul.
Oh, that
My face is
AMC,
stuck.
not the
Oh,
theater.
and an ad for Hardee's.
Listen, I gotta make that 2 cents somehow.
Yeah, right.
Alright, I think we are good. There we go. Wait.
Do Hardee's even still exist around here?
I don't
Apparently
think
it
so.
does if it's buying up Twitch ad time.
I don't think
It'll
around
have
here,
Carl's
though.
Jr. because it's
Well,
the
you're
same
in
company.
you're in a different state, so maybe they're by you.
Oh, yeah, that'll do it.
I don't like the way you said that.
I'm just trying to
Damn,
understand
this
the
ass.
geolocating feature happening.
What is the Hardee's?
Oh, Carl's Jr.
Yeah.
Okay.
They have
They
them
call them
along.
different things in different regions.
Okay.
I think they're along like Route 39 in Illinois. This actually came up recently at work. Like, where are Hardee's? How
In
do
the
we
middle
get
of
to
nowhere.
Hardee's?
I know of one in my hometown, 3 hours away.
So, yes.
Welcome, everyone, to an episode of Decisions and Dragons. That's still staying the same.
That's right.
Biven edition.
Yeah. When
We're
last we
changing
left
it to Dungeons
our
and Debauchery.
when last we left our intrepid heroes, they had decided that the next morning they were going to make their trip to the Feywild. However, this is a story about a different group of people. If we're using movie terms, the camera zooms out of Westrid, out of Taldore, out of Exandria as a whole, and flips. And as it does, the land masses shift and change. Uh-oh. Are we losing Dustin?
No, he's just being obnoxious.
No, I'm just being obnoxious.
Cool. After the view rights itself, we find ourselves in the underplane, specifically called Biven. The camera zooms in on the broken continents below. And the landscape is tormented, broken. One entire nation swallowed in a sea. A queendom shattered into. Distant kingdoms and civilizations struggling to adapt to the new reality that they have been facing for the last 10 years. And the pillar of their toil and their trouble. Mundos Finem, Black Tower, to the south of Biven, the seat of the Whispered One. And almost like an anchor of darkness, the clouds above roil as streaks of lightning shoot across the sky. Welcome to the world of ruin. The camera pans a little bit further north to what remains of the Queen City of Delita. The structure itself, any major landmark, has been destroyed beyond recognition. Many of the buildings remain standing, but very clearly have dealt with some damage from the initial onslaught of the Whispered One's followers. The camera weaves through the battered streets to an inn. Well lit, the light sort of peering out from the window. And in a damaged but still legible sign, there hangs the words, "The Late Magpie." And we focus in on Azamar therein. Arsinoe, would you like to introduce your character?
Uh, she sits currently in a corner of the tavern, um, mending a bit of, um, a piece of what looks to be just kind of like this mess of fabric. Not really doing the greatest job mending, but trying her best. Um, her light brown hair is in this kind of this braid that comes up and down, up across her scalp and then down her back, away from her face. Um, and she is trying to stay out of the way, and just trying to quietly keep an eye on things as she continues to sew.
As you sew, you are accompanied by some of your siblings, your adopted siblings, as they also too find some sort of small crafts, something to busy themselves and their worried minds, as it seems that there is another detachment that is scheduled to make its stop in Delita from Moondos Finet. Your siblings, your relatively new siblings, Hawks and Hicks, both are playing essentially with the ball and cup, but they quietly each take a single turn before just handing it back and forth. And while they are pleasantly enjoying the night, it is still an ever tense atmosphere. Cathend sits next to you, um, choosing not to occupy his dragonborn mind. Instead, just sits with arms crossed, staring at the door, that fiery look in his eye that he always seems to carry. Finally, Arwell sits a few seats away, still younger, age 16. You know that Arwell, I'd say arguably a little bit more so than others that you have brought, struggles the most. As an Eladrin, her connection to the Feywild after it was entirely swallowed and corrupted by the Shadowfell left a very consistent impact on her. Her skin has started to turn pale. Her eyes have darkened. And her hair, which once was lush and beautiful as the seasons passed, is now a muted, sort of muddyish green. And your father, in one of his brief moments of explanation, uh, has discovered what is happening. He had explained at some point that Arwell is slowly becoming a Shadarkai. This conversation took place a few days prior to the current situation. Eloise is preparing some food. As you can see, some of the patrons of the inn seated at a nearby table. Most of them are refugees and survivors, just like the rest of you. But there is a table that is populated by two armored creatures. The typical dress of the Whispered Horde is a sort of gunmetal set of armor with a mask that covers one eye, and on that eye is the symbol of the Whispered One, Vecna himself, that almost seems to glow with this fiendish green energy that you have all become so familiar with. After a few moments of silence, Cathend says, I don't like this. I don't like that it's taking them this long to arrive. Why can't they just show up already so we can move on?
Be patient. I know that's difficult.
I'll be back in just a second.
Sure. And just as you say those words, you hear echoing from outside, no music, no laughter, no birds, but armor. Armored footsteps in a formation making their way through the town. And make a perception check for me, actually.
I have a. I forgot to talk to you about something. We'll talk about it after. For now, I'm
Okay.
gonna roll. For now, I'm gonna. Actually, no.
You do you.
I was thinking. So, Arsinoe has her left eye. There's a scar that runs down,
Mhm.
and she is partially blind in that eye.
Okay. This is not
So-
going to be based on sight.
Based on
That is
hearing,
what you're-
okay. Yeah, I want to talk to you about mechanics for that because I don't know if it's fully to the point of disadvantage
Like
on sight
impairment?
checks.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
so we'll talk about that at some point. But
Sure.
it's weird not making perception checks with advantage.
Sure.
Yeah. It's 11.
11. That's enough. You can hear the shutters of windows closing. And you can hear the distant sound of other refugee camps, essentially, closing their doors as the armored steps get closer. And you can see Eloise, pretty much everybody, feel this wash of stress. And you can definitely feel Cathend. You just see their hands clench. A moment goes by. This detachment definitely seems larger than the others. Another moment goes by. There's this uneasy quiet that fills the room, other than the two soldiers who are currently enjoying their drinks and their food.
While we're sitting, I'm going to cast Calm Emotions.
Okay.
Just
Is
while
it
we're
on Cathend or anybody in particular?
it says each humanoid in a 20-foot radius sphere centered on a point I choose.
Awesome. You
So I assume that is a pretty common, maybe not necessarily with the soldiers around, but it's a pretty common thing she does for her family. So
do you cast through a holy symbol?
yes.
Okay. Would you mind describing your holy symbol?
It is right now it is currently tied to her waist. It is on a long leather strap, and it is a amulet that the outside is ringed with this brushed bronze metal in just kind of a generic circular shape, and the inside is a roughly cut garnet.
Nice. You clutch this symbol and feel a little bit of warmth in your hand emanating from it, and you can look and see Cathen's clawed hands ease. And Arwell's persona, while still troubled, eases. And Hux and Hicks, who have sort of very quietly and slowly kind of hid behind your legs at the chair that you're sitting at, you can feel their clawed hands that were sort of digging into your ankles ease as well. Eloise turns to you and just mouths, "Thank you." And I apologize. Your father's first name?
Galebra.
Galebra. Thank you.
Yep.
Galebra very quietly steps out from the small room that he and Eloise have sort of claimed as their own, limping on his cane. Also feeling that wave wash over him as he just reaches a hand and clutches Eloise's. A few more moments go by. You can hear the armored footsteps starting to fade into the distance. And the moment it fades out of earshot, everyone eases. And it's at this point that the two soldiers rise from their seats. One of these appears to be a Cambion, whose dark, black, leathery wings sort of at rest behind him. And their armor is a little bit more elaborate than his seemingly undead counterpart. They approach the counter where Eloise and Galebra reside and say, "Thanks for the slop. Maybe work on your recipes next time we're in town." And you can see as they turn, their tail whips across the counter where there are several cups of water, maybe a glass of wine, clashes with the cups, which causes the liquid to spray all over Arwell. Oops. They turn and start to make their way towards the door.
Get up and kneel next to Arwell and just kind of using the fabric that I'd been mending, just start kind of cleaning her up.
She flinches for a moment, but eventually eases. As one of the things that she has been exhibiting is extreme sensitivity to touch, as her skin and her muscles are shifting in a way that they're not supposed to. But she does eventually relax and lean into your care. The undead soldier, seemingly a zombie of some kind, but still coherent and intelligent, while missing a jaw, shambles past you and does a little bit of a shoulder check, and continues following behind the Cambion as they step outside the door. Eloise and Eloise actually steps around as they leave, and almost knowing she couldn't say anything, the moment the door starts to close, she slams it and places the bar. Galebra, seeing this, bows his head and slowly limps back into the room. Eloise wordlessly goes and grabs a mop and starts cleaning up. As Arwell looks up at you. Do you think we'll ever be able to leave? Or is this it?
Leave our home? Why would you want to leave our home?
Because I wake up and I see that, and she looks out the window and you can see in the distance the tower. And I don't want to feel like this and also look at that every day.
I know. But us leaving, us giving up the magpie, is not gonna make that tower go away. And she'll kind of look over her shoulder, like knowing that they're alone, but look over her shoulder. What's gonna make you feel better is making them go away. And you know I'm going to do that.
She opens her arms and, with a jerky motion, sort of wraps them around your neck and just pulls you into a hug.
I hug her back.
As you hug her back, you have a view to the opposite side through a window. You see low mist starts slowly gathering along the ground. And this mist starts to get thicker, thicker, as it starts to essentially travel down the street.
Does it look familiar?
Make a make an Arcana check.
Oh, that'll go really well. It'll go really well. 10.
Okay. With a 10, I mean, there are some creatures that do sort of maximize the fear effect of their visage through some arcane or necrotic mist, but they should have been seen at this point, as this low-hanging fog starts to gather, and before you know it, it starts to coalesce around the magpie.
Um, I'll look over at Eloise and just say, Mom. And just kind of.
You look over at Eloise, who is in the middle of wiping the liquid, and see that she is frozen. Unmoving. Her expression not shifting.
Mom.
Not moving.
I look at Arwell.
Arwell is, like, basically when you noticed it, she was half letting go of the hug, and you sort of back off and see that she is still frozen in that position.
Everyone else.
You look at Bethend, who is lifting one of the um, curtains to view outside. You see Hawks and Hicks. Hawks has the ball and cup mid throw, and you see the ball frozen in midair. You can see Peyton, who is emerging from one of the nearby rooms, sort of peeking out. You see the other patrons mid drink. Everybody in the inn frozen still.
I will. And there's no mist in the tavern.
No, but you do glance out the window one more time and can see that it is starting to gather, line the walls.
Shit. Okay. I will immediately take the cloth that I had been mending was the cowl and
Mhm.
scarf, and put that on, and immediately go dash upstairs and grab my mask.
Okay. As you dash upstairs to grab your mask, you instinctively look behind you as you're running up the stairs, and you can see the fog fall through the windows and start to fill the lower floor, moving much faster than you thought that this thing could move. You quickly grab your mask and secure it on your face, just as you can see moving very fast up the stairs and winding through almost like a snake. It wraps around you in the room that you're in, and you feel your breath catch as you're expecting some sort of ill omen, damage, wound. And while the fog fills your vision, feel a breeze. Temperature drops a little. You know you're not where you once were. The camera zooms out of Delita and moves eastward. starts to zoom near Fort Scar. A fort of substantial structure, of wooden pikes and palisades. Very much a military and almost primal construction, with bits of leather and cloth covering several different pieces, giving this a militaristic yet refugee camp sort of look. Several goblins, orcs, bugbears, kobolds populate this base along with some elves, gnomes. On the outskirts of Fort Scar, the camera zooms in to focus on a very small group of some of these creatures. One creature in particular. Renalphus, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, but not before unmuting myself.
Yes, I would encourage unmuting.
Renalphus is a bugbear, the only bugbear in this group, and as such, is the group's leader. He travels with perhaps 2 to 3 dozen other creatures, traveling back towards Fort Scar. Most of the other warriors are orcs and hobgoblins, a few kobolds, a few goblins, and there are a dozen or so other refugees that he is escorting the final leg of their journey back to Fort Scar. He stands. How tall does he stand?
Well, you don't know. You're about to ask it. Or you're about to answer it.
He stands 7 feet 9 inches. He is a big guy.
Big boy.
Wearing all in good condition, but he wears like a hodgepodge of armor. Cloak, cowl pulled up over his head as he travels. He carries with him a large glaive and a bow strung across his back, and the rest of his equipment is carried by his mount that walks next to him, Coco. Coco is an axebeak.
You know something about Coco?
Coco's mean,
I-
though. It is
I-
100% like irony that Coco has such a an unassuming, playful name as she does.
Funny thing about
Coco
Coco,
Coco will fuck you up though.
I legitimately prepped for everything else except for Coco.
Nelson's never gonna get mounted combat.
So, no. I will fix it when it comes up. That is my error, and it will be fixed. God damn it! I kept passing it by, and I was like, "What the fuck is Coco?"
Coco is my axebeak mount. Imagine a chicken the size of a horse with a literal axe blade for a face. That is what an axebeak is.
Coco's
So,
a chocobo.
It is a
Yeah.
chocobo that will.
It's a choco bro.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kill it.
Is it because I called it a chocobro?
No, it's because I hate chocobos. You know of my long-standing hatred of chocobos.
Oh, I think I remember
which is
that.
why I did not equate Coco to a chocobo.
Jesus. You are traveling back. Coco staying at your side, not giving any sort of loving nips or anything. It knows its place. It knows
Oh
what it's
no.
there for. Pug, a gray orc, marches at your side, and sort of steps a little bit lighter to catch up and match step with you as you have these refugees behind you. Sir, some of them have begun to get sick.
From what? Exposure? Food?
Some sort of combination. I don't know. I'm having trouble keeping.
What time of day is it?
It is. Let's see. The sun is just now setting for you guys.
Okay. Have we made it past the abandoned temple?
Yes, you have.
Okay.
You guys are essentially right where your marker is, right in here.
Oh, excellent. Um, well, I suppose this will be as good a time as any to stop and make camp. Um, take Scab with you and find a suitable spot just off the road and keep your colors. Um, Ashhook and his packs should be scouting this area. We've come
Yes.
far enough to the fort.
Yes, sir. And Cug steps away, and as he does, he barks an order at one of the kobolds. You said his name was Scab, yes?
Scab.
Scab.
They're
Scab
my
is a
Scab and Cug are my best scouts.
awesome. Cug wears a lot of leathers and furs. Keeps a few javelins, roughly made, nothing fancy by any means. Nothing about this entire detachment is fancy, pretty much except for yourself. Everybody's got hodgepodge pieces of armor, but they're still a really good fighting force. Cug steps away and gestures to Scab, a kobold also wearing sort of bits of cloth, but also has this harness that they have made for themselves, where there are some makeshift wings filled with holes, mind you, that are pretty much at his control with handholds in case he ever does need to glide to the ground. Um, Scab crawls along the ground next to Cug as they break with the formation to search for a good camping spot. Um, about 15-20 minutes go by, and they do return. Scab actually reaches you before Cug and says, collection of rocks, big trees, lots of cover. Good camping.
Then we'll make our way there. Good work.
Come, come! And you see that they crawl once again in the direction of the spot.
I give a sharp whistle to the formation and bark out an order that we're leaving the road and making camp.
You move your formation in the direction that Scab had crawled and can see a decent outcropping, um, easily coverable on multiple sides. Really, there's only one area which has some rather open air that you would have to kind of keep an eye out on. but Hug has already begun gathering firewood and everything to make a somewhat decent bonfire so that people can warm themselves. Um, about an hour goes by. The sun has set at this point. The camp is in the middle of being set up. The bonfire is going, though, so it is tossing light out
Okay.
of a decent radius. Um, what do you do?
I have um the rest of my I take half of my soldiers and split them all into teams of 3 and have them do patrols around the immediate area. The other half of my soldiers with any able-bodied refugees are start to work making camp, preparing food for everyone, um, pitching the tents, and anyone who is not able to either help or do patrols, um, I have sitting at the bonfire or in whatever kind of shelter we've set up already to rest.
Okay. Um, they all obey your orders. Even the refugees understand they are close to the fort. This is essentially like the last big push to get to the fort. From there, they'll hopefully get some rest. Basically, they're putting in the effort. But there are a handful of refugees who are resting very clearly over no, not overworked because you guys are actually keeping them rather healthy. But um, there's some elderly, some children that are
Mhm.
afflicted, and you can see that they're having some trouble keeping food down. Um,
Yeah, and it's when these refugees came to our encampment, um, it was made very clear to everyone that the rules, I summed it up pretty well um, in my backstory, that in order to take advantage of the benefits of Sanctuary and Fort Scar, those who can fight will, those who can't fight support those who do, and those who refuse are refused. That it is a harsh situation and people may not like it, but I prefer the term alive. And that's
okay,
what it takes.
all right. As you continue monitoring, making sure everyone's following their orders, um, you can hear Cug approach and say, Ashok's approaching with his gnolls. They seem a little agitated by something.
Oh, Knowles always seem agitated.
Hmm.
Um, where from? I'll go out and meet him.
Uh, path near the abandoned temple. They're only about a league off or so. Shouldn't be long before they arrive.
I see. We must have passed them. All right. Um, well, go and get some food and take a rest, and I'll have someone relieve your post.
Thank you, sir. As you step away, you kind of think back a decade prior when bugbears and orcs and gnolls were constantly fighting each other for some sort of supremacy in this region. Bugbears were very much of their own kin. The only um, outsider race that was really somewhat welcomed were goblins, as they were sort of tricksy and had some sort of intelligence to provide some weaponry and advances in technology. Uh, and it's taken a while, but the races of this region have recognized, for the most part, the bugbears are in charge And in order for everyone to survive, everyone must fall in line. So there may have been an outburst or two from Cug when you first took command, but that quickly sort of fizzled the more and more you had adventured together. And Cug, in his own way, sort of looks to you as a subordinate to a captain.
Okay.
As you ride out, you can see coming from Rorick Bay to the south a fog hanging along the water. And looking south, you remember that being a forest, an entry to the Feywild, one of the many, many land formations that had been swallowed up when the Whispered Horde came to this land. And this fog moves from the south of Rorick Bay and starts to overtake the beach. You do eventually meet up with a pack of gnolls, recognizing Ashhook amongst the group as the one gnoll whose fur is gray, with one black streak going up the back and almost coming down his snout into his chest hair. A strange natural gift or evolution of a gnoll, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But as you approach... Oh,
And
go ahead.
when I ride out, I take a pair of hobgoblins with
Okay.
me. Call it
good.
an honor guard.
Sounds good. The hobgoblins stick to your side as the gnolls approach. And you can see a little twitchy, a little uneasy, as you have come to know them pretty much at all times. The gnolls do approach, giving almost an instinctual growl, maybe a little bark every so often. You've come to understand that this is purely instinctual and there's nothing behind it. It's a wonderful thing about communicating with gnolls, where they always seem like they're one step away from stabbing you in the throat, but it's just how they are. Ashhook approaches, stepping off of his warg to meet you.
Renalphus.
Captain,
There's a development.
quite the development. We seem to have gotten past you. What happened?
The temple. The light from within.
A light.
Light. Torch.
It's never been a light before.
We agree. Different. Dangerous. We investigate orcs.
Not orcs. He sort of gestures at you, still struggling with this sort of low race common
Mhm.
that everybody has seemed to have adopted, and says,
Not orcs, but
orcs. And he does, as he gestures towards himself, he pushes his innards in and tries to look as thin as possible.
Different. Hungry. Paint.
Sort of gestures at his face.
I think I understand. You made contact?
No.
He sort of shrieks back, almost at like he's put off that you would even suggest that they would do such a thing.
Egg.
Crack.
They attack? No attack?
No attack.
And all he does, he can't think of the word, but he just goes, he just bows.
Worship. Egg.
Order. Report. Scar.
Yes. I will report and return.
Keep.
And as he is in the middle of speaking, you notice he stops in place. As do the other gnolls that seem to shift. And you look to the hobgoblins, and they stand at attention. Coco glances back and forth, her feathers ruffling a little bit. And you can start to see gathering at your feet mist.
Can I make a skill check of some kind?
What would you like to do? Are you trying to identify it? Are you trying to leave? Are you trying to avoid whatever's happening? What's your intent?
First, I mean, I kind of want to do a lot of things. We'll start
Welcome
with
to D&D.
we'll start with a. You said that this mist has like rolled up on our group, on our meeting from the south.
Yes, you glance, and the entire countryside, almost spawning possibly from Rorick Bay, the plains and the trees and that entire land leading up to you, covered in this mist.
Is the mist touching me?
At this point, you glance down and you can see just the very edges of the mist starting to wrap around your ankles.
So that's a yes.
So yes, I
Okay.
was just illustrating it like a narrator.
I know.
would.
I'm just trying to make it clear in my own head.
You're good.
You're good. And the mist is touching everybody who's frozen.
Yes.
Okay. But not me and not Coco.
Well, it's just starting.
Coco
Well,
and I are not frozen, but
Right.
everybody is touching the mist.
Right.
Okay.
Let me clarify something. So, I'm going to use my marker here. So you meet Ash Hook right here, right next to that tree.
Yeah.
The mist started traveling up this way.
Yeah.
Essentially directly towards you. So your hobgoblins are in the mist right now. Ash Hook is sort of looking at you from this side, and his pack has not been touched by the mist yet, but they are still frozen in place.
They're still frozen.
Yes.
All right. Can I do like an Arcana check
Sure.
on the mist and or the petrification?
Sure.
That is okay. That is a 15.
With a 15, you rule out demons, devils, and undead. You don't feel any, what did I call them?
Okay.
You don't feel any shenanigans.
Okay.
As those being the source.
This doesn't seem indicative of any extraplanar
Correct.
nonsense. Okay.
Yeah, you're not getting any of your shenanigans coming from this.
Okay.
And you can rule out that this is a natural effect as this mist is traveling essentially slightly uphill.
Okay. The next thing I'm gonna do is I am going to just give a sharp whistle to Coco just to get her attention.
Mhm.
and I am going to jump on Coco's back and ride like hell first to our camp,
Okay.
see if they are frozen, and if they are, I'm gonna make my way to Fort Scar.
Okay.
And I'm gonna try
You
and outpace the mist if I can.
okay. You leap onto Coco and take off, and you can hear her squawk a little bit in intensity as you take off. As you look behind you, you're expecting to see the mist continue to climb up towards the rest of the pack, towards Ash Hook, towards all of them. The moment you turn and ride away from it, the mist turns and gathers speed as it chases after you. Go ahead and make me a. All right, so you've obviously got proficiency in mounted.
I
So
have proficiency in animal handling.
okay,
Coco has a 50-foot movement speed.
okay. Does
And
Coco have stats or no?
yeah,
Okay. Um, make me an athletics check for Coco.
okay.
To see if you can essentially outpace it, the mist towards the camp.
Okay.
You go, Glen Coco.
Um,
What was that?
Glen Coco.
Go for you, Glen Coco.
Coco does not have any like skill proficiencies, so this is
Okay.
just going to be a regular strength check.
Okay.
Very rude. I'm sure Coco has many skills.
Just
Yeah.
not
What does it say about you?
quantifiable.
Like biting your face off.
Yeah.
Coco does not have a bite attack. She has a beak attack, which deals a D8 plus 2.
Oh shit. Hell yeah.
Yes.
Nice.
That sounds
She
like a
has
skill.
an axe blade for a face. That is a 15 for athletics.
Okay. You careen towards your camp, looking behind you every so often and seeing that this mist has started to gather and almost go airborne, like it's trying to overwhelm you like a crashing wave. You dip and dive out of the way and make your way towards the camp, where you can see Pug, the refugees, even the fire itself, frozen. And just as you are taking this in, and as you quickly try to turn Coco to head towards Fort Scar, the mist comes down on top of you. Thinking you can push through it, you start riding. And the temperature shifts. And you hear waves. And you feel displaced. The camera is going to zoom out of the Fort Scar region. It is going to move northward over the trees that sort of fill the landscape and along the mountainside. The camera careens past Eogarth to Falcon Haven, the capital of the Dwarven Kingdom. Built into a mountain, this structure towers over the land around it, as several different large stone gates stand open, and several camps sort of fill the area around the base and sort of snake up into these gates. The camera zooms in into the mountain as you can see several other camps. This is very clearly the majority of what's left of the Dwarven Kingdom resides here. The camera sort of winds down a hall to the craftsman's quarter, to a small, somewhat modest-esque looking shop, where you can see in Dwarven sort of marked on the lintel, hammer throw, where inside are constant hammer beats against hot metal. We find Boykin. Boykin, would you please introduce yourself?
Yes, I am Boykin Hammerthrow. I come from a long line of hammer throws who have made quite the name for themselves. We are a proud family, and as soon as I pull up my notes here, come from a long line of proud miners, blacksmiths, and warriors, and our family is known for our reliability and our strength, whether it is through our hammer, through our mining, or just through our family. We always prevail. I personally have been training and fighting since I was a child, since I could even hold a hammer. And I will be the greatest hammer throw that has ever graced the battlefield.
All right. Where do we find Boykin? I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're totally fine. You said he was. It sounds like in a workshop. With there's probably a couple of his dwarf brothers, or just brothers, if you will. Boykin is of course looking at the different weapons that have just been forged and commenting on the craftsmanship. Oh, you've made this one very, very nicely. Swinging it around carelessly. Well, not carelessly. Carelessly, but effectively.
Hoderlim, your brother, the crafter of this, you said it was a hammer?
Yeah,
Or
sure.
an
Yeah.
hammer? Okay. You swing this warhammer to and fro, and Hoderlim says, Careful, I haven't finished wrapping the handle. Don't hurt your hands.
Ah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. These hammer throw hands. Totally fine.
He, catches the hammer at one point.
Sorry, Horderlim.
He,
Yes, maybe it could use a handle.
wrap.
Yes, a wrap on the old handle.
He steps away. Hoderlem is your far older brother, electing to just pursue blacksmithing. And by the way, with any siblings and stuff, if you want to kind of change things up, I understand that, with getting a backstory and all that together, we can definitely workshop stuff if you'd prefer. So
Yeah, no,
this is just sort of what I'm going with here.
No, that's perfect.
Hoderlim, instead of pursuing glory or making a name for himself, has truly just, especially in the last 10 years, dove into being useful as opposed to being renowned. So a lot of his weapons are rather basic construction, simple things, sort of volunteering to provide any sort of hardware for setting up any other camps that are sort of starting to come through. But Hoderlim decided to take this project at your request. And you can see he sort of grumbles to himself as he takes a bit of leather and starts winding it over the handle. He looks up and says, "It's not going to be too long before we have to start venturing out."
That's why I'll need that hammer.
Father is probably going to assign you on a trip to Eogarth.
Right.
Be careful, please.
Oh, brother, you know I always am. I always feel a lot safer too when I have your weapons at my side or in my palms.
Brotrak hasn't come back yet. Brotrak is another brother of yours.
Well,
closest in age to you. But yes, he was assigned.
is he little brother or big brother? Or
Big
older
brother.
brother? Okay.
Older brother by a manner of 3 minutes and 15 seconds.
And he never lets you forget it.
Older brother, barely. Well, we all know that Bro Trek, though we love him dear, sometimes isn't all there, and is not the sharpest tool in the shop.
Such a naive mindset for someone so young. And he finishes wrapping the handle. And he seals it shut and holds it up again. Strike smart. He holds it out to you.
Thank you, brother.
You should see father before the night is out.
Sounds good, Hordelin. Are you going to be venturing out at all, or are you just going to stay and work on more weapons?
Weapons, hardware, anything to keep the camps as safe as possible.
One of these days, you'll have to come out with me.
Over my dead ass, he says as he kind of smirks.
Well, hopefully not. All right, brother, I must go see our father. He kind of pats you on the shoulder, and
he pats yours too and gives you the warriors clasp and just says, "Rock and stone."
Rock and stone.
You step away. I assume to just meet your father. Is there anything that Boykin would do before meeting with his father?
No, he probably just has that hammer in his hands, just swinging it away still. Just like that too. Just
this
noodle arm.
What's Boykin's passive perception?
Boykin's passive perception is. Oh, come on! Don't freeze on me.
Should be bottom left.
Yeah. It should be bottom left.
You're right.
That's good. Let me reload the page really quick.
Feels like when I'm at work and I'm like, should have access to that.
It
should be there. I did yesterday.
I see it. You got a 15.
Thank you.
With a no, you're good. With a passive perception of 15, even if you are noodle arming, swinging this thing around, testing its weight, seeing to make sure it's well made, you manage to avoid several standees of suits of plate armor. But make your way out of the shop towards your father's, or to rather your father's study, I guess. I'm just gonna go with that. My brain can't put together the word for it.
I think study is perfect. We'll say he's a man of culture, smoking a pipe, reading a good book.
Yes. Ah, yes, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Dalosoth is his name. I'm just gonna I have the spelling here if you need it.
Gallosoth?
Dallo. Dalosoth.
Sounds good.
Dalosoth is seated at the fire and has a bottle of fire whiskey as he is just nursing it. Boykin.
Father, may I have some of that fine...
You should
Whiskey.
probably take it from me. It's ruining my insides.
Well, have one more sip, just for good luck, of course. Please, please. Ah, yes, thank you. Mm.
You see, he's as he pulled the bottle away a little bit, kind of got into his ashen gray beard as he kind of.
Cheers to you, Father. Oh. Mm. Well,
I need a favor.
Yes.
Your brother hasn't returned from Eogarth.
Yes, I was, Horderlin was just telling me that Brotrak is gone off again. It's probably stuck in a hole somewhere, my guess. Took too many.
His guard did, though.
What was that?
Brotrak left with 3 dwarves.
Mm.
The dwarves came back.
His entire guard came back. Without him?
Brotrak is missing.
Do they know his last known location?
It was on the road from Eogarth. They said they were attacked by flying fiends. They said they got Brotrak.
Well, then I will have to go find him and remind him that though he is literally 3 minutes older, that I am decades wiser. I'll find him, Father.
I need you to be careful. The countryside, the coast, the mountains. More and more of the Horde reveal themselves with each passing day. I need you to remember to be smart, as well as fight hard.
Of course. Father, tell me, where are Brotrak's guards?
They, after being debriefed, they, found a watering hole. One of the small bars that still remains operational. You might find them there. They were assigned to go find a room and to rest. They didn't come out of that unscathed.
Okay. This is troubling news. I just assumed Brotrak went off on one of his silly excursions again and got caught on a branch or something, like he did that one time. Oh, that idiot.
He had a black eye from falling on a rock.
Classic Brotrak.
He stands and puts a hand on your shoulder. Kind of shoulder and then kind of like the base of your neck and says, "We need our family to be whole again."
I'll go get him, Father. And he puts his hand on kind of the same area. Rock and stone, Father. Rock and stone.
Right, rock and stone. And he
We'll get through
takes
this.
the bottle back from you.
Whoa. All right.
Rest was gonna be mine, and he just downs the rest of it and just tosses the bottle into the fire.
Ah. Be
safe.
I will, Father.
Report in.
I will. I'm gonna go talk to Brotrak's guards and See if maybe, since their nerves have hopefully calmed down, if they remember anything.
All right.
All right. I'll be back, Father. Just stay safe here.
Make the iron promise.
I will.
He nods and turns and sort of stumbles back to his chair and slumps down in it once again.
Boykin kind of gives just kind of a gentle grin as he sees his dad drunkily walk back to his chair and slumping. Brotrack, where did you go? Boykin's gonna go head down to the watering hole that Brotrack's guards are at.
Okay.
I walk in. Boys, what are you doing here? I heard you got into a little bit of some trouble.
As you do, haha, you step inside and see like several refugees are like nursing some like potatoes and like a little bit of meat. And they're like initially put off, but then when they recognize you, just sort of roll their eyes and kind of smirk and go back to their food. As much as they don't want to admit it, you are still entertaining to those around you.
Well, sorry to scare everybody. You know, my presence and all that's just too much sometimes, even for myself.
Having this
I go
interior monologue outwardly.
outwardly. Do I see Brotrack's guards anywhere?
Yes, you do see 3 guards seated at the bar wearing some sort of like dark iron armor with a blue sash, which does represent the hammer throw clan. You can see one of them turns, and you see he's got some like makeshift bandages wrapped around his face, but you can very clearly see that there is a large claw mark that extends, pretty much covering one side of his face. The others look a little beaten up. One of them has his arm in a sling, and as you can see, a wound has been sort of plugged up in his shoulder. But they turn. Oh, Boykin. Ale. And you see that they go to stand to give the salute.
No, it's okay. You don't need to do that. It sounds like you've already had enough of a journey. You don't need to grovel to my normal self.
Thank you. I am Normac. This is Fogwreck. And that is... Jesus Christ. Some of these are so ridiculous. Like, Laura's Mauk is one of them.
Oh my gosh.
Did you say Frogrith?
Yes.
And this is also Doug.
This is Ben.
Ben!
Not Ben! He finally dies in the game. And this is Thodmin. We were assigned to your brother Brotrick's security. What information do you need?
I need last known location. First off. And I, gentlemen, I appreciate you sitting down and listening to me and giving me information. I know you've had a very stressful and a very rough day. I know you wouldn't have left Road Trek out there if there was a chance to get him back. So
we were...
Can you tell me what happened?
We were in the mountains, on the trail from Iagarth north through the mountain. Night had fallen, and what looked like demons with wings, clawed, horned, flew almost like a pack and assailed us in our camp, wounding us. It was clear that they were looking for food. Brotrack fought bravely along with the rest of us, but Brotrack fought forward to try to drive them off. But they swarmed him. And one of them, you see he's having difficulty still sort of processing, and says one of them, their claws on their feet clamped around his shoulders. And they flew. They flew east. No. That is a DM fuck up, not the character fuck up.
We could RP it. RP it.
Don't
RP
be
it.
suspicious.
Yep.
Yeah, don't
they
be
flew.
suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
Wait, hold on. Can I see the
In-
script?
Insight check.
Yeah.
Yeah. Liar!
Hold on, can I see the script? And there's like a dude with a headset. He's like, sorry,
Line.
Yeah,
Line,
line.
please.
Line. Marker. Action.
sorry. They flew west.
Toward.
It could have been towards.
Hold up my hands and do the thing.
Left.
Never eat soggy
Yeah.
waffles.
Yes, I do never eat soggy waffles all the time.
that
You
not
never eat shredded wheat.
That's another one.
I always go watermelon, actually.
Oh, I like
Also good.
Hmm.
it. Towards
So toward Persephone, if I said that correctly.
in the general. Yes, you did say Persephone correctly. They say in that general direction. Yes.
Okay. Barkeep.
Yeah.
A bottle of the fire whiskey, please. Put it on my father's tab.
You see that they
Gentlemen,
smirk, leaning
this-
to grab it.
This is for you, gentlemen. Please recover, get your minds back. I might need you at some point here. These sound like very formidable foes, but I'm gonna go ahead and try to at least locate him. Maybe they dropped him along the way. I mean, Brotrak is a formidable warrior. He could have fought them off. Maybe did some cool, like, riding thing where he took a leg and maybe flew it down somewhere. We all know Brotrak. He's
As
it's
you
more
say
of a
these
doer
things-
than a
Yeah.
thinker.
As you say these things, expecting some sort of a reaction, the dwarves just stare.
Was he steering them? Is that why? Is that the look?
They're just motionless. And as you're sort of trying to get a read on them, you start to realize the sounds of the smithing,
Mhm.
conversations around you, the fire crackling, all gone. You look around and you see the refugees frozen mid-meal. You can see slowly coming from one of the chimneys mist, sort of covering the fire but not putting it out, just spreading out along the ground.
I grip the hammer tighter and kind of start just getting into like a stance, just kind of looking around. I don't like this. Barkeep?
Barkeep is mid-pour, and you see the liquid
Just frozen.
ale frozen.
At this point, Boykin is just standing ready because he is both confused, potentially even some fear there. Just he's now on high alert, essentially.
As you stand ready for anything to pop out, you see the mist crawl up over the bar and then fall to the ground. Now covering the bar, covering the bottle of fire whiskey, and you sort of coalescing around these stools that the guards are seated at. It slowly moves in the direction. Make a Constitution check.
I looked down for a second.
Oh, sorry. Excuse me. Constitution check, not saving throw. Excuse me.
Correct. Yes.
Oh, actually. Oh, come on.
Is it really thinking hard?
Well, I don't know what's happening today.
I can feel the
Computer,
lag.
I'm like, it's a 14.
14. With a 14, you are confident. You fill your lungs up, and almost like a dragon unleashing a gout of flame, you just unleash your bodily air at the
bodily
mist.
air.
That just makes it sound gross.
Yeah, it just makes it. It essentially sounds just like fart. Like, let's put that out there.
And for a moment, the mist backs off, and almost like a predator that was insulted moves right back in and starts crawling towards your feet. As you instinctively kind of lift your hammer.
I start backing up. And I'm like, oh.
The mist encircles and spirals around you and fills the room that you're in. Clutching your hammer, you're waiting for some ill effect.
I start swinging at the mist.
Okay, all right. You start swinging like a mad dwarf, hoping to find purchase against anything. Until you feel clang. Your hammer hits something. You like instinctively reach with your hammer. Feel a boulder of some kind. Camera pans away. And we move. Well, actually, that is the question. I will need Chio. Where would you find yourself?
I'm just thinking, looking at the map, if she's making her way over to, like this main continent, she probably would land in what, Old Althea?
You can land
Looking
at
at the
Old Althea.
landmark. Sure.
Okay. Now, your ship, boat, only houses you and the pilot of the boat. The pilot is a fox. It says, "I don't think we can get much closer. I think that this city might be corrupted or haunted. This is giving me the creeps."
How far out are we?
You are like, if you look at my my marker, you are like right here, just off of the shore.
Like, I guess, how shallow is it? Like, is it, I'm gonna have to tread water for a while and then, like, that, she's trying to understand.
You may have to tread water for maybe about, from what you can gather, about 10 minutes before you can find some actual shore. As you can, just to give you more of a picture. Sorry, I apologize.
No problem.
Old Althea is a ghost town. You see what was once a port that is completely abandoned, and a lot of the wood of the docks has been completely destroyed or splintered. You see the buildings that dotted the coastline either completely hollowed out by some intense explosion or just over time and possible fire damage, just everything is decrepit and empty, and there's not a sound coming from the city itself.
Gotcha. She'll look to the captain. If he's the captain of himself.
His own boat.
Um,
I'm the captain aboard this ship.
I'm gonna fight you, buddy. I shall say, I don't think an old abandoned town is something we have to worry too much about. I'm certain we can get a little closer.
Make a persuasion check.
Yeah, is this character good at that? The dice say no, that's a 4.
Ouch.
The fox says, I can get you a little bit closer, but this just feels terrifying. I don't want to linger here more than I have to. I apologize.
I will appreciate as much as you are able to. So, thank you. Your service is noted.
They pilot the boat a little bit closer, so it cuts the treading water time in half. But that's as far as they go.
When she kind of like they stop and she kind of is gonna wait a sec and just kind of look at him, like hoping like maybe a little closer. But then after she realizes, nope, he's done.
The fox is just looking back at you like,
After that awkward, like just too long mutual stare, she'll gather her things, and start to get out of the boat. And as she does so, she gives this very like small cat-like hiss as like the hair all over her shifter body starts to kind of rise up as she doesn't want to get in the water.
oh God, I'm so happy.
Let's put the cat in the water. But she'll just take it like as she's kind of like half out the boat, she'll just take a deep breath and kind of like hop out the rest of the way to get herself in the water and start making her way to shore. She's got a bag that she's like wrapped so that it's sitting like on like pretty much choking her so that it's like not in the water at all. So it's like sitting like kind of like behind her head and on the top of her shoulders as she's trying to swim.
All right. Make me a perception check.
14.
Okay. With a 14, first off, the fox, the moment you jump into the water, starts piloting to get the fuck away to head back home. You swim forward, and as you are getting closer and closer to shore, you see this little, very faint blue light sort of pass through one of the buildings. And this is in between as you're trying to swim as quickly as you can to get out of the open water. But you do catch a glimpse of this light sort of passing through, this little mote hovering through the streets.
She'll kind of zero in on that and like if necessary, almost kind of like change her trajectory a little bit to head in that particular direction because it's some sort of sign of life.
You finally get to shallow water. You thankfully feel your feet meet ground and start to trudge through the rest of the water. Um, and you start making your way through the docks after wringing out whatever water you can from your belongings. You start stepping through, and you can see that the streets are lined with bones. Corpses of those who were unfortunately here when whatever happened. You can see overturned carts with rotting food in crates. You can see broken glass lining the opening of several different what look to be stores. You see that glimpse of a blue light pass before your vision, maybe 150 feet or so ahead, crossing the street. You continue to follow?
She's actually gonna pause and she wants to investigate the bones. Like she's trying to understand because where she comes from in this continent don't really have a lot of contact. And so she's trying to understand what happened here because she's heard of Althea. And did she end up in the wrong place? Did they, or like, did something happen that they need their records updated for? She just wants to kind of start investigating and understanding.
Sure. Go ahead and roll me an investigation check.
That is a 23.
Nice. With a 23, you can see that these bones belong to both adult and child. You can see that given it's 10 years, you can see some of them have deep claw or some sort of marking through the skull, or you see a rib cage where several of the ribs have been splintered in. Um, Looking around at the other general area, you can see, actually, with that investigation check, you spot one of these skeletons has this like parcel, this shoulder bag with several scrolls. Reaching into pick one, you can see it is a map of the Queendom of Delita, looking far different than what you know of on your continent. And also looking different than what you're seeing on this map. Mar de la Luca and going into the Sea of Terrafan. This is not on your map. You do know that there is an ocean that separates Yoshino from Persephone and the larger continent at large. But Mar de la Luca never filled this far eastward. And you can piece together that given your location, you're in Althea.
She'll take the map and any other scrolls she sees that look interesting or important, and she shoves them in her bag, which is also full of papers.
Awesome.
A good chunk of it is blank, and she pulls out a blank one in her quill so she can like jot down some of her observations. And as she's gonna do this, she's gonna like tuck that with what she's found for her record keeping.
High or low?
Hi.
You reach in to grab a piece of paper and find soggy, wet pieces of paper, as unfortunately there was a little bit of a leak.
So
that
she's
look.
like dumps her bag over. It probably lands on
Aw.
some bones. I don't know. Sorry, dead people. But she's trying to figure out like
No problem.
Yeah, sorry, dead people. Oopsies.
that's Rhodes, not Gio. But she's trying to like essentially assess the damage. Like, is it a couple of pieces like on this corner got a little wet, but everything else is fine, or everything she owned, like the bottom inch of her bag just had water or something?
The bottom inch had a little bit of water leak in. So not everything was lost, but the loose pieces of paper, pretty much along one edge, and for a couple of them, it's more than that, but pretty much along one edge is soaked.
Fine. This is why swimming is a terrible idea every time. And then she starts to like take one of the pieces of paper and she's gonna like pull off the soggy edge so she can start writing on the rest of it.
I'd say it takes you a few minutes to feel satisfied that the remaining pages do not have any soggy, wet quality, but you trim them and you mark down your notes. And
Alright.
definitely feel satisfied after turning over your bag, turning it inside out, making sure it's all dry-ish. You feel confident that you can store your things.
Okay. After that, after collecting the map and jotting down her notes, she's gonna kind of look up to see if she can still see that light moving.
You glance up and almost like, well, make a perception check.
21.
Nice. With a 21, almost like a child playing a game of hide and seek, you spot down the street that little blue light almost hovering just into view. The moment you make eye contact with it, it then reacts and drifts down the same street that it had prior.
She'll just kind of look at it and kind of turn her head to the side. Well, there's no other leads, and start following it.
You follow it, and you can see it takes you through a merchant square. That large and inviting in its time, probably, but now decrepit, abandoned, filled with rubble. Okay. You follow the moat of blue light down a few more alleyways before it comes to what looks to be a bar. A bar whose entire front wall completely blasted open. And in a broken pile, you see a sign that reads the Blackwater Tent. You see the moat of blue light drift inside, disappear out of sight.
She'll kind of, step over some of the debris, and if there's any door left, push it open and continue to follow the light.
You see the blue light, now not as evasive, moves slowly, knowing that you're following behind it almost, as it drifts from the main room towards the back, behind the bar. And as it does, you can hear "Leave me in peace, you piece of shit." And you can hear a tankard be thrown against the wall, and the blue light, almost like a child who got scolded, scurries back out into the main room and up to the second floor.
She would like to stealth closer to the voice.
Okay, roll me a stealth check.
Fuck you, dice. 6.
With a 6, you take a step and feel a piece of glass crack. Here's some movement, along with something heavy be lifted. And you can see. Do you have dark vision as a shifter?
60. Yeah. Yes, 60 feet.
60 feet? Okay. Stepping into the door frame. A shorter humanoid creature. Long hair, sort of matting his face and the beard. You see a older dwarven frame. And you see he is holding a battle axe that is long. This thing has been broken many times over, but you can see has been haphazardly repaired over and over and over again.
Who are you and what do you want?
I apologize. I was attempting to sail to Althea, and, well, she like stops as she's being sniffed and does like one of these.
You don't smell dead.
You see he kind of steps into the light, and you can see as moonlight lights this dwarf's face, you can see lots of gray. Oh no, actually, you see lots of white mixed in with a lot of red. In his beard and his hair unkept.
Where did you sail from?
Well, I'm sorry, dead. Why would I smell dead?
His horde is everywhere. They consume anything living that hopes to unseat the Whispered One.
And you see he kind of steps forward.
You are from Yoshino.
Yes. Before she continues, can she do or can I do a I don't know, would it be religion check? She wants to know if I want to know if she's heard of the Whispered One.
Yeah, roll religion. Sam.
That's a natural 1. She ain't ever heard of shit.
Wow.
I mean, you've heard of certain, deific beings in your studies, but nothing matching that description.
Yes, I did. So from Yoshino, who are we whispering about? And she kind of looks around.
Ever blind to the state of the world your people are.
You see, he almost looks around, expecting something to be listening, before stepping a little bit closer.
The Whispered One. Vecna. The one who made Mundos Fidem. The undead lord of this land.
She like reaches into her bag and starts writing things down. It's like Whispered One, Vecna, okay. And she's like listening very intently, but she is like transcribing what he's saying. She says, "An undead lord. That would explain some of the reports that we've heard of things that have been going on over here. Interesting." And she kind of like keeps writing down her thoughts.
The dwarf kind of rolls his eyes slightly before hobbling to the bar. reaching back over and producing a very dusty, very aged bottle of ale. And he sort of takes the blade of his axe and just cuts at the top, breaking the glass, and just starts drinking out of the bottle.
Reports. Your people knew. And they did nothing.
Well, there are inklings, but nothing concrete. That's what I've come to investigate and find out. Where might I find this Mundos Finem?
He sort of heaves a sigh.
Look southeast. You'll see it piercing the land like an undead spire. A scar upon our world.
He does not make a move to like actually guide you.
And this town. May I ask what happened here? You and that strange light seem to be the only signs of activity.
We were the first to endure the whisper.
Sorry, I'm murmuring. So of course Discord's like, "What? I'm just gonna turn off."
We were the first to endure the whispered horde. First coming from the mountains that are now underwater in the Sea of Terrafan. They came searching for someone. They managed to escape out of reach. But before they did,
And you see the dwarf struggles.
they killed everyone in their way.
Wow. That is quite an unfortunate tale. I'm sorry to hear that.
What do you care?
And he sort of sits up, downing the rest of the ale and just throwing the glass. You see it shatters against the fireplace, long since abandoned.
She'll kind of follow the movement with her eyes. Well, I suppose understanding what happened is the best way of resolving it, would it not be? If you have such firsthand knowledge of what occurred, would you not be a better resource elsewhere?
I am not useful anywhere. If I could not protect my family, I cannot protect any.
Well, I am sorry for your loss.
Take
You-
the blue light with you when you leave. It annoys me every day.
And what is the blue light?
And as you ask that, in your ear you hear, "Oh, I don't cause too much trouble." And you turn and see this teeny pixie. I just been keeping him company. He's kind of grumpy.
Oh, well, that's very generous of you. Well, I am Chio, and she'll address both the pixie and the grumpy dwarf. It's a pleasure to make both of your acquaintances.
Oh, well, I'm Ed. I think you common speakers. It's just ID. He typically doesn't like introducing himself. His name is Olin.
Well, it's very nice to meet both of you. As I said, I, well, have already learned quite a lot, and I feel I've only been here for moments. I appreciate both of your time today. Is there any way that I could repay you? And she's more looking at Olin than Id.
Repay me for what?
Well, as I said, I feel I've already learned more than I thought I would learn as quickly, just in our conversation. If there's something I could be of assistance with in gratitude.
Find the one who blindfolds his eyes and tear him apart.
Well, I will certainly see if I can find this person and report back if I'm able to.
He just sort of steps back into the kitchen. And you hear him slump down into his chair.
To look at it like, well, I am going to continue my travels. It sounds like you've been assigned to accompany me, but you are in no way obliged to.
Oh, I appreciate it. Feel like I should keep him company. He doesn't like me very much. I don't know if that was clear, but I should linger just to make sure he's okay. But I
Fair enough
appreciate it.
Yes, it's a fair enough assessment. No one should be left entirely alone.
Hmm.
Well, best of luck to you.
You as well. Chio.
Yes.
They give a little bow, and their light grows a little bit more brilliant as they become that mote of light and just sort of circle around you a little bit before circling back up into the second floor of the tavern you were in.
She will head back out the door. And essentially she wants to like get her bearings and be like, okay, this is a decrepit old town. And kind of using the map that she found and what she knows from what her research is, try to figure out how to get to probably like trying to think of where she would probably want to go. Probably Persephone. That's probably the next like really major town. Now
Sure.
that she's seeing, oh, there's more water in between me and Delita, so I'm not going that way.
All right. As you take a look at your maps and sort of passively start walking towards the edge of town, your eyes glance up just to kind of make sure you're facing the right direction, and you can see pouring out of one of the alleyways mist, low to the ground, but thick.
She'll pause in her movement when she sees that and just kind of observe like she wants to understand, is this magical in nature? Is this a natural mist due to the obviously messed up climate of this area? So she's just gonna stand still and observe for a little bit.
Make me, I'll say your choice: perception, arcana, or religion.
Well, she's only good at one of those, so we're gonna go with perception.
Sounds good.
12.
12. With a 12 perception, you've seen mist. You've seen the morning mist on a chilly day, and you see that it sort of coats everything. This mist, as it kind of covers the ground, turns and starts moving in your direction. Not covering the entire alleyway, it is all sort of coalescing to move towards you.
She will, like, if there's an alleyway or some other direction so that she can quickly turn, she's going to kind of trying to continue to test her theories out, try to like essentially start like ducking and weaving through the buildings and see almost how intelligent this mist is.
Okay. As you duck and move in between the maze-like alleys of old Althea, you make it behind a corner and almost hug against the wall and sort of glance behind you. And within a few moments, the mist becomes visible, moving much faster towards you.
Does this work how I think it works?
I don't know.
Picked a new subclass, picked a new race I've never done before, so you know.
Yay! Big things.
She is going to shift. So that she kind of takes on more of that bestial form that she has, and so her fingernails turn into more like claws, and she essentially wants to see if she can like scale whatever building she's hugging up against.
Okay, I'll say make me either an athletics or acrobatics, given that you are a cat person climbing.
Yes. We're gonna go with acrobatics. That is an 18.
18. Deftly and gripping at the old cobblestone, you scurry up the building, and as you do, you look down and see the mist quickly, almost like like a snake, crawl up the wall. Just as you get to the roof and go to move away, the snake-like form of this mist wraps around you and blinds you. And you instinctively think to dive or move, just as you're hearing waves lapping at a beach. And you realize that even though you're currently blinded, you know you're in a different location, just as you hear a clang of something metal against something else. We are now going to move from old Althea and Malice, is it?
Yes, it is.
Where would Malice find herself?
At the moment, somewhere along the road that is, need to do the hand thing again, east of Falcon Haven.
Okay.
So up kind of northeast of that forest. Yeah, that area.
Okay, cool. I love it. All of us
It's
are like,
literally
yeah, right
all
here,
the
right here.
dogs.
In that general vicinity.
All right. The camera zooms down from the heavens to a lightly traveled path in a hilly forest. And as it pierces past all of the trees, it zeroes in on an individual traveling through the night sky, through the night air, I should say. Malice, would you like to introduce your character?
So Malice is clearly of some form of elven descent. Perhaps it's difficult to tell into their middle years. Sharp features, slightly exaggerated, that, unless she's smiling, are quite severe. She has dull, dishwater blonde hair that carries this sort of sickly green undertone, plated with what looks like the remnants of vines and flowers that perhaps were picked 2-3 days ago and are starting to die. She's wearing a gray-green, dusty, travel-worn cloak, and it's begun to fray at the bottom. She's tried to darn it, and there's little sort of hand-embroidered vines that run up along the edges. This is over armor that, in contrast, looks quite pristine. Organic in form, very sort of flows over the body, very natural, very mimicking of the patterns that one finds in nature. It's well made, dulled, scraped, dented, clearly well used. Over one shoulder, the pommel of a sword. And if she turns slightly, you can see she has a shield slung across her back. Her hands, on the other hand, are both clutching a pot of Gerber daisies that she appears to be speaking to as she walks down the road.
All right. Go ahead. What are you speaking to these daisies?
You know, we really do need to figure out a better way to go about this. Maybe a sling of some sort, or a satchel, because I don't like having my hands not free. I mean, not that you're a problem. I know you can't control it. I know it just sometimes happens, but I'm just saying I don't want to drop you. And she goes on for about a minute
All right.
until
The potted plant starts to like shake and quiver a little bit.
at which point Malice will just stop,
And
look around to make sure that
Oh, damn it!
nothing there, and set the pot down carefully on the ground.
all of a
This is my
sudden
new
there's
favorite thing ever.
all of a sudden there's a and the plant turns back into a very little gnome with bright red hair, green eyes,
It was
and
a wild
freckles.
magic surge. It was a wild magic surge. He turned into a potted plant. Oh my god.
So good.
So
It's
fucking
so
good.
good.
Continue. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna just be over here raving at this.
I look up at the elf that's much taller than me. Happened again, didn't it?
It happened again. You know, we really need to figure out why that keeps happening.
It just happens sometimes. Never been able to control it, but at least that time it was just a plant. Sometimes fireball just happens. I don't like that.
That's true. It could always be worse. Have to keep that in mind.
Yeah. Just be careful. Get ready to jump out of the way at a moment's notice.
I will keep myself ready. Now, do you need anything? Are you parched? I didn't want to water you while you were in plant form because I didn't really know if that would be appropriate. I mean, I can if you'd like, but
No, it's okay. I have my water skin right here. And like her water skin is a standard leather water skin, but it has very shiny bits of glass like glued to it, so it looks like it's all bedazzled and like, flashy and shiny. And her clothes are standard traveling clothes, but you can kind of see like under them she tries to spruce them up in what she wishes were bright colors, but she knows traveling along the road and or in dangerous times she tries not to stand out too much, even though her hair, does that for her most of the time. Well, thanks for not letting those armored fellows, step on me or break my pot or anything.
I would never. You know that. Now, what time? You said this is night. This is late.
Yes, this is now nighttime.
Okay. Well, I think we ought to find somewhere to hole up for the night.
Well,
Start out early, make our way, or as far as we can, toward Falconhaven.
yes, probably a good idea. I could start us a fire somewhere. I'll be very careful.
That would be delightful.
Okay.
We will look around for a spot to kind of tuck away from the road. Probably something in view of that coastal road, but that is not viewable from it, if at all
Okay.
possible.
Make me make me an investigation check.
Oh, this is gonna be funny.
9.
Actually, not. Nope, not 13. That's an 11.
Okay. Between the two of you, you do eventually find something that fits most of your needs. It is a little bit visible from the road, but it's not overtly so.
Sure.
There is a small gathering of trees with a nice big boulder behind it, so you have something to sleep up against if you need to.
Okay. We will sit down. Do you want me to go grab wood, or do you have that
Yeah.
handled?
If you could grab wood, I'll make a little pit so it doesn't get out.
Okay. Try not to with the really large fire.
Oh my god.
She'll dig a little
She,
hole in the ground and like line it with some rocks while Malice is going to grab wood.
yeah.
Malice.
She's walking through. She's thinking about what she has on her that might work for burns, that might work for various concussive injuries. Just maybe, maybe like, oh God, what if we set the forest on fire? I mean, it's probably going to go up really well. It's extremely dry.
Fucking gold. As you're having these thoughts and you're sort of piling on
Mm-hmm.
wood, you can see a little bit of a break in the trees. I'm gonna throw my marker. Let's see.
Oh,
You guys essentially find this spot.
okay. Oh,
Kind of right around here, you see a break in the trees, and you glimpse worked stone in the distance, maybe 300-400 feet off.
hmm. I don't want to leave her. I'm going to turn, walk back to where we set camp, set down the wood I have, and then turn to Flit. There's something different in the forest. Do you
Different.
know these parts?
Well, I grew up right around this area.
Is there like I don't know, any old cities? Is that where you're from?
No, I mean, I'm from just a little area right by the coast, and for all our provisions, we would go into Falcon Haven. Oh, my mama doesn't go in there too much anymore since Dad disappeared. But we get what we need.
Well, do you want to go check it out?
Yes.
Here, leave the wood behind. Make sure to keep a watchful eye, and we will try to be quiet.
She puts her hood up to cover her hair.
Love it. All right, I will need a stealth check from the both of you.
Great.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
10.
11.
Is this what it's like for everybody else that doesn't have proficiency in stealth?
Yes.
Probably.
Single
it.
digits? Oh.
Ew.
What is this?
Oh, and everyone
Ew.
else can cast Pass Without Trace.
The two of you step through the woods feeling on point and in sync. Confident that the only thing making noise is the breeze running through the trees
Oh yeah.
as you approach the worked stone that Malice had identified earlier. As you push through the tree line, Flit, you've been in this region before. You remember as a child exploring the woods and having fun doing so. What you see before you was not here when you were younger. You see a large, elaborate stone garden, abandoned, covered in ivy and moss. It looked as though at some point this was a beautiful garden before a large, um, weathered temple structure. And positioned in the center of this garden, you see a statue, very weathered, mostly broken, but it's of a woman in this very regal pose. Part of the arm of the statue has fallen off. I will need a investigation or religion to identify.
Oh,
Ooh,
natural one.
14.
14. Natural one, you are convinced that this is a statue of one of the many princes of hell. You are standing on unsacred ground. You feel filthy looking at it, knowing that this is the case. With a 14, with a 14,
It's a statue of a rabbit.
See those
giant.
ears?
They're
Those
like,
ears?
no,
Those are
stop
evil
tilting-
ears.
Stop tilting your head. Look at it upwards, and you're like, no, it's a rat. Oh.
It's just upside down.
With a 14, given the positioning and the regal pose, you could guess that in the arm that has broken off would have been a heart. And you can identify that this is a statue to bitch Calliope, the siren, one of the major gods in this universe.
What prince of hell do you suppose that is?
What? What?
Yeah,
It's a female face. I mean, I know
princes can be awful pretty too.
that's
You know, they
very
say-
true.
Evil is enticing.
Evil is enticing. That, however, well, it might be evil, but it's definitely not a prince. Did you
Can't
ever
really tell.
study? No, kind of beckoning her to come. Did you ever study, maybe growing up, the different gods, goddesses, princes of hell?
Yeah, I mean, I used to read the books to Dad while he was making his shoes.
Okay.
But I got distracted a lot.
Do you remember the siren?
Uh-huh.
This is the tomatoes line of this
Mhm.
origin session.
She's going like this, like...
Can I look around to see if there's a harp anywhere or something that looks like a harp?
Well, she's missing an arm.
Make me another investigation check.
It's gonna be balls. Yep, it's balls. 9.
And not
With
thinking, like, as she's trying to get a better look at it, she just, like, casts dancing lights at it.
Actually, that actually makes it look kind of nice.
Her dancing lights are very colorful. It's, like, almost as reflections off a disco ball, but, like, very, very colorful.
Leave
with
it
a
up.
9, you do find part of a stone harp. About half of it, it's clear that it's got a little bit of the hand that was holding it. But yeah, it's maybe about this big, so it's a little hefty considering it's made of stone.
I wonder.
I'll take your word for it. But I've never seen this place before. Wasn't like this before.
What do you mean it wasn't like this before? Before when?
Before.
Before.
I mean, I'm not all that old, so I guess in the before times, but you know, when I used to come here when I was little, it wasn't like this.
I mean, it looks quite old. Looks like it might have been here for years,
You
decades,
know,
centuries.
I know I'm not always the most perceptive, but I would have remembered something like this, especially with the Prince of Hell statue in the middle of the courtyard.
I don't. Oh, okay. I'm just gonna run with that, and we will assume that it has been built since you were last here, and it just looks old, or became old, or perhaps came from somewhere else. You know how things are.
As you guys are having this conversation, what are your passive perceptions?
14.
10.
With a 14, you can hear a rock rolling across.
From which direction?
It's about 50 feet to your right towards the entrance of the temple.
Hmm.
You can actually see this rough stone just rolling. Coming to a stop in the middle of the route, or in the middle of the path.
Draw my sword, just in case,
Draw your sword.
and then
Hear another.
start tentatively stepping toward the rock.
You hear a second coming from a different spot of the rock garden. Rolling, and you can spot it meeting. You hear several more. As you're witnessing these rocks start to gather. Then some of the larger rocks start rotating. Again, meeting in the center of this path. What are you guys doing?
Do I notice this? I would have seen her grab her sword.
Oh yes,
Obviously.
you would.
Yeah, I would say
You would have noticed it, and I probably would have stepped in front of you at this
Okay.
point. The minute it started being not one or two rocks, but a number of large, almost boulder-like things.
So she has a staff with her focus attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
So she kind of prepares it.
I do not know. We are not.
She peeks around her leg.
Yeah, we are not going. We're not going to engage it unless it engages us. All right.
You see more and more of these large boulders coalesce in the middle of this path, and somehow tied to one another through arcane means or gravity of some kind. You watch as it forms this very misshapen, humanoid-esque golem creature, standing about 10 feet tall. And you see where its head would be, its entire torso looks in your direction. And then starts to lumber forward.
About how far are we
You're
from
about
this?
45, 50 feet.
All right. Gort?
He's still not doing anything.
you should get back.
I can help though.
Oh, you can help. You can certainly help. In fact, I am relying on you helping right now,
Okay.
but maybe from a distance.
She salutes.
Just a little, just a little. You don't have to go all the way.
She'll move away from Malice a little bit, like back to where she was in the statue. And does it have? Is it on like a base, like a pedestal?
Yeah, it's got a pedestal.
She kind of like hides behind the pedestal, because I assume she's very little that she is able to hide behind it, and she kind of peeks around it, but like has her staff at the ready to like fire off a spell as soon as she is, following Malice's lead.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You guys watch as this golem starts moving a little bit faster towards Malice, and Malice, you grip your sword, grip your shield, and Flit, you kind of clutch your staff, just knowing that this is going to be a little bit rough. This thing is huge, and just as it is about to make contact, you raise your shield, and flowing with unseen speed through the trees, mist covers the both of you. And just as you kind of almost wince, expecting an impact, there's nothing. Until clang, you feel something hit your shield.
Oh, God.
But something smaller.
Something metal.
Something metal.
Metal.
Yes.
You're hitting a rock.
So metal.
The wrong one, guys. We did that already.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
And slowly fading from view, the mist that has covered all of your eyes dissipates, and you stand on a shoreline, spattered about with each other. Glancing around, you can see plains with a few dead trees that sort of claw up towards the sky, and a mountain range in the distance. Malice, you kind of peek past your shield, and Boykin, you can see that you unintentionally struck a warrior's shield.
Just give it a shove.
Hearing
Good
the
block.
Who
clang.
the hell are
Um,
you?
I was gonna ask you the same thing. I was just in a bar fighting a very mighty foe.
I was in some kind of stone circle. And I'll look around for Flit.
Flit is the same distance that she was to you when you had originally.
Honestly, hearing the clang on her sword, I think she probably would have fired off a magic missile.
Excellent.
She was getting ready. Just trying real hard to help.
I'll say, as Boykin, as you're having this very brief realization and conversation, a magical arcane dart sails through the air and pegs you square in the chest.
God.
Go ahead and roll 1d4.
Four plus one is 5 points of damage. Do you want me to roll magic? It's up to you when I roll magic surges, by the way.
Go ahead and roll.
14.
14. Okay, you're good.
gosh.
Do me a favor though, and this is gonna be a little house rule. If you're cool with this, your surge will trigger on a 1 or a 2 right now.
Yeah. As much as I roll ones, I would still like to get the wild surges every so often.
Oh gosh. I'm sorry.
Did I get him?
I
No,
can,
no.
you did, but a different
you
him.
got you got me. It's good shot. Oh,
I can take care of that.
oh, please,
Lay on hands, heal him up.
Like
much
lowers her
appreciated.
staff. Sorry about that. It was
Uh,
an accident. Well, it wasn't really an accident, but I didn't mean to hit you. I meant to hit the other thing. But you weren't the other thing. There
No.
was another thing.
oh, well, this is confusing. I'm Boykin, by the way. Nice to meet you. What was the other thing you were trying to hit?
It's much bigger than you. Definitely not a dwarf. Made out
Oh,
of stone.
probably not as hardy or stout though.
Actually,
It was made of
quite
stone, so
quite
Oh, it was
stout.
a literal stone. Well, you know, us
Literal
dwarves
stone.
are known to go right through stone, just as FYI, as it were.
To
Such
No.
as
Renaldus,
hammer throws are.
Coco kind of like backs up and like rears her head, looking at the non-low race people in front of you.
Renalthus and Coco are fucking hauling ass.
Yeah, that's true. Actually,
Um,
it's
so
true.
Do we have to
Coco,
dodge?
Oh,
with a bugbear on her back, in full armor and a glaive, erupts into the area. Um, where? So I get enveloped by this mist, and
Yes,
at this point, and then the mist clears.
the mist clears, and you're in a completely different location than you were
Okay.
previously.
What are my surroundings?
There are some large boulders and rocks that sort of pierce from the shoreline. If you look on the land, there are plains with a few dead trees and a very far less thick mist that sort of hangs above the ground. You can see some mountains in the distance, but the area that you're in, for the most part, is clear.
Okay. Um, I am a Actually, yeah, I am going to stop about 20 feet away from the three of them. Hop off of Coco, draw my glaive, and level it at them, and shout, who are you? Where is this place?
Who are you?
yeah. Was that the big thing you were trying to hit? Who are you?
That was not the big thing that I'm
Oh,
trying
you
to
said it
hit.
was made of stone. That's not made of stone.
That is not made of.
Answer my question.
You answer our question, tall man.
I'll say at this point, Arsinoe and Shio
I don't think he's a man.
fade into view as well.
Tall one.
She'll immediately finish putting her mask on. And cowl up.
Okay.
Point to myself. Malice. And I don't know where this is. Do I recognize this place at all?
Make a survival check.
Before I answer that, I should probably check. Oh, that's good. 21.
Okay. With the 21, you look at the placement of the moon, and you look at the mountain range, and can see snow covering the majority of the mountain range. You can also see some of the dead trees in the very far distance on those hills, also covered with the same snow. You look across the waves. You can see just barely in the distance some lights coming from a mountain. You are all shore. Right where my marker is.
Okay. I think, judging by the sky, we're transported to the shore of the vanquished. Was there mist? Did you get wrapped up in mist?
I did.
There was. Did you create this mist?
You're very accusatory, sir. We did not create the mist.
Did you?
I do not possess the ability to conjure mist. And I will, still having a readied stance, still kind of having an action prepared to attack anyone who threatens, who makes any aggressive action against me. Um, I kind of lower my glaive a bit and say, I am Patrol Captain Ranalphus of Fort Scar. And you, dwarf?
Boykin Hammer Throw of Falcon Haven.
Cujo, have I heard the name before?
Make a history check.
Sam, you said your character was wearing a mask, right?
Yeah.
I think Flit's probably
I
looking
am
at her.
I am also wearing a mask, although my mask only covers like my mouth, like my eyes are visible. That is a
And
19, Cujo.
With a 19, you do recall the name Hammer Throw. You know that there was a hammer throw that had been the cause of some trouble for some of your scouts at one point some months ago. As for Falcon Haven, you do know Falcon Haven is the Dwarven Kingdom's only major stronghold.
Only stronghold or only remaining stronghold?
Only remaining stronghold.
Okay. I have heard the name.
Not surprising. We're quite renowned, as it were.
For being a harassment against my forces, yes.
Well, maybe not me personally. There's a lot of us hammer throws. What can I say? Apologies in this current moment, though.
Sam and Rhodes, what are you guys doing? As this all is taking place before you.
Chio is honest to God, like she shifted back immediately. But as people as started talking, she started still jotting down notes like Shore of the Vanquished with like a question mark. She needs to see if she remembers anything about that location, and she's like jotting down their names to try to quantify what the hell just happened to her.
Okay. And Arsinoe?
Arsinoe is just kind of trying to take in the surroundings, not really listening to the conversation that's happening or like taking any stock in like the weapon bearing that's happening. And just trying to kind of get her bearings and figure the wheels are already starting to kind of turn of like, okay, if I'm here, in order to get home, I have to go here, here, and here. Until the tiny gnome comes wandering over and just like looking up at her. And Flit just sees this this metal mask with these almost like, you can see her eyes behind, like through it, but it's just this like very like, I don't know, almost like this death shroud kind of mask, neutral face, under the cowl.
Hi. Do you always wear that mask?
I do. Where I'm
Really?
from, it's not quite safe for people to know who you really are. Although I feel like that's here too.
Do you know a lot of people? I don't know a lot of people.
I don't know how to answer that.
Well, I mean, where I'm from, there's not really a lot of people to know. Know my mama, my grandmama. I know my dad too, but he's been gone for a little while. There's not many other people in my town.
Where are you from?
Just outside of Falcon Haven. It's a little town along the shore.
So far from here. Wonderful.
Well, I don't think it's too far from here. I don't know, I haven't really traveled. I've mostly been at home helping Dad make shoes.
Well, if you're going back, we'll get you back. Maybe. I guess. Shit.
It's fine. I've been traveling with Malice. She's nice.
Everybody, make me a perception check.
14.
8.
23.
30-20.
Uh,
20. Go ahead.
16, or if there's any hinky bullshit. Actually, no. It is 16 if I'm only relying on sight. It is 25 if I'm relying on my hearing or sense of smell.
Shit. Right.
24.
Okay.
Damn.
As you guys are taking in your surroundings, you guys do spot in this corner, right up here, and it's in the distance. It's going to take some time to travel there, but you can see what looks to be a temple or a city of some kind. You can see worked stone, but not any light coming from it. In addition to those who got 20 or above, as you guys are kind of looking around, you can see along the shoreline, or along this shoreline right here, there is this collection of some odd stone of some kind, discolored from the land that you've seen around it. This strange, almost bowing sort of shape that winds its way along that shoreline. Pale, almost like just lighter stone, at least from this distance that you can see. Just kind of giving you guys a little bit more landmarks, so you guys can make an informed decision. What
Excuse me, as everyone's kind of like talking and threatening people and whatever. The shore of the vanquished. I apologize. I don't know if I recall much information about that location. Precisely where are we?
Cujo,
Can,
can I roll
yeah,
a
can
history or
I?
survival check?
I
Okay.
will allow a history or a religion check from anybody who wants to get a little bit more info on this.
18 religion.
24 religion.
Nice.
Fuck.
18 history.
14 or 19 with my Hunter's Bane, if it has anything to do with Fey, Fiends, or Undead.
Okay.
History and religion are the same bonus.
Okay. And Boykin, did you make a roll as well or no?
No.
Okay. For history, with you said a 14 history, yeah, for malice.
No, 18.
18. My apologies. With a history check, you come to know this place based off of the rumors of the sailors who have sailed past this land before. They call it cursed, in that whatever civilization lived on this land was cursed with immortality, and thus could never truly pass on to the underworld. With a religion, you know that this continent, according to myth and according to religious text, is where the gods did battle with the 3 titans that had been sealed away beyond this world's divine gate, similar to the Calamity. And there was a lasting impression made from one of the titans, which had cursed the soil. Madwin, the chaotic wind, had cursed its people before it was sealed away.
Lit is honestly
Yeah.
probably looking around the ground for little flowers to pick because her attention's everywhere. And she just kind of mumbles out Echio's question. Think this was the place where the gods and the titans fought each other. Left an impression on the ground a long time ago. But that's a rumor. It's in the books that I read. I think. I get distracted sometimes. She's still
Supposedly
just
it's
looking for
cursed.
flowers to pick.
Supposedly it's cursed.
Is cursed.
You've been here.
No, but it's cursed.
It's the
And
sort
was
of
it this?
place it's the sort of place that one should avoid. We should seek shelter.
Okay. I assume the curse was a result of this god fight that occurred. Interesting. There is a structure in the distance, if that's what we seek.
Shelter's better than none.
Especially out here.
Figure out I'd get back to the continent.
And perhaps figure out how we got here
Yeah.
to begin with as well.
There was mist, I assume, looking at Sam and Rhodes.
Yes, oddly intelligent for mere mist
Extremely fast.
and agile.
Saved us from a stone golem, though. I mean, maybe it's not all bad.
No, it froze the people around me. Or at
Did it
least they
hurt them?
froze before it showed up.
Did it hurt them, though?
No, I don't think so.
It didn't
Is there
feel.
some kind of like arcana check or something that I could roll to kind of try to discern like exactly what the mist was, if there's anything that we've heard about something of similar nature before, or any spell that it could be potentially related to?
Make an Arcana check.
I've never seen any of the Whispered One's creatures do something like that.
I've never
Nor have
seen
I.
mist. I've never seen mist do anything like that.
Indeed.
19.
Agreed.
With a 19, I mean, for the magnitude of what just happened, in your study of magic, there is no such spell that could be crafted with that much ability to not only, as Arsinoe has insinuated, freeze people in their space and teleport a particular creature from one part of the world all the way across to another.
Did it feel like anything when we were transported?
It was seamless.
Okay.
I don't know
You just
about you,
felt a
but
little bit of like a temperature shift, but beyond that,
I don't know about you, but the only mists that I know about either kill people or smell really bad. Do you don't teleport people and freeze them in place usually?
Well,
She's got a
all the
she's
more
got a
reason.
point.
All the more reason for us to sort out what that was.
How to avoid it in the future.
I don't think that I caught everybody's name, by the way. Here, Boykin. Hammer throw.
Yes.
He's
Nice to meet you, everyone.
Captain Renalphus, I think. You're Malice, I know you. I'm Olivia Goodberry, but you can call me Flit.
An absolute pleasure. I am Chio Makino. Just Chio is fine.
Just Chio. And what's your name? She just like looks up at you.
So cute. I love it so much. I don't know what it is about the gnomes. I don't know.
Cujo, before Sam answers, can I roll a history check to see if I recognize her?
go ahead and roll history.
This stupid ass gnome is still looking for flowers on the ground. Does she find any?
So cute. I love her.
Make an investigation check.
Stupid ass gnome. I love when you talk about your own characters like that.
18.
18. Okay.
This
Renalphus.
motherfucker,
This
and by that
dumbass.
I mean me.
This bitch.
Cujo, that is a dirty 20.
Okay. First off, Flip.
Very
As
important.
you scour the shoreline, there are no flowers to speak of. And Renalphus, with a dirty 20 or a Miss Jackson, you've heard murmured conversation with some of the refugees that you have encountered and brought to Fort Scar, referring to a hooded and masked individual. A lot of good stories. The name escapes you, though. But looking at this personage, it's possible that they could be one and the same. You would have to do a little bit more digging to find that out, though.
I just look at you and say, You're the smuggler, aren't you?
Smuggler.
It's a name that a few refugees have given to a hooded and masked figure who smuggles refugees out of the Whispered One's territory.
The beacon.
I stand corrected. The beacon.
How would you prefer to be called?
Right now, here, yes. You don't mind.
You got it, Miss Beacon.
Oh.
Shall we?
Just-
Um,
It's like
that,
immediately is
Cheerful.
thinking to herself that like, wow, that's the exact reaction her brothers would have given. So like,
You,
write it home.
it's fair.
I can't be
Fair point.
angry.
With that, Renalphus will mount Coco and say, we should make for that structure, the other side of the bay. Seems as good a place as any.
Agreed.
This is Coco, by the way.
You see this large bird with an axe-like beak sort of glare down at each of you, and their eyes just shifting.
It's magnificent.
It just takes a step back.
I'd keep your distance.
As Flit takes a step back, like a
Lest
parrot
you want to lose
primed,
a hand.
you see Coco just sort of crouch down, almost like they're ready to lunge at a moment's notice.
I'm not a snack. Coco.
Step in front. I step in between
Yeah.
them.
You see it arch its neck back.
Just give it a bow.
I don't think bowing to it's going to make it think I'm not a snack.
No, but it still shows respect.
Deep bow, but don't break eye contact.
Mm-hmm.
She like cranes her neck to like bow and not break eye contact with the very tall bird.
Just be respectful.
I mean, I would give it a flower, but there is no flowers in this area. What kind of area has no flowers? Any respectable grassland has flowers, but I guess it's kind of cold here.
I don't think this place.
I give Coco a short, quiet whistle and a slight kick, and start heading along the shore.
Coco's eyes linger on Arsinoe and on Flit for just a half second past the kick, and then eventually starts moving away. I assume you all follow.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
As
Slowly.
you travel.
Do I need to carry you?
No.
As you travel along the shoreline, you come to the sort of odd, pale stone bow-like structure.
Mm.
And as you get closer, you can see that it's a long piece of something that sort of rides along the coastline and winds around itself. Just as you get a little bit closer, you can see that it's not stone. It's a little translucent.
How tall is this thing?
Um,
Or is it roughly hand level where I can touch it?
It's quite large. If
Okay.
we're talking about like height,
Okay.
about 30 to 40 feet, like
As we
curving up.
As we get closer, I'd like to touch it.
Okay. You step towards it and place your hand, and you see it has a little bit of give, and then sort of look a little closer and can see a scale impression. Make me a perception check.
14.
With a 14, you sort of like step back a little bit and look at this shape and see that it is skin, snake skin. Just as you have that thought, the ground beneath you rumbles.
Nope.
And that's where we're going to end tonight's session.
I like it. No. Oh, gross.
This
Cool.
was so fucking fun. I am so glad. I'm so happy right now. Yes, welcome to Biven, everyone. Depressing, dark ass Biven.
Awesome place.
But-
Totally recommend 5
Oh, yeah.
stars.
Yes.
But with some rays of happiness and hope in some of our companions here. Well, to everybody who tuned in, thank you so much. We love you very dearly. Be
Yeah.
nice to each other, and we will see you next time for more Biven Tales.
Yay!
Yeah.
Internet.
Night.
Bye.
Bye.